The Spiritual Journey of ALEJANDRO JODOROWSKY, Chapter 5, Part 6. I understood what had happened. The Mexican people had long been whispering that their president stole the country's money. A scandal involving the head of state could trigger a national crisis. I was certain the Tigress had received orders from very high up to put an end to this farce. As if by magic, the newspapers stopped attacking me and nothing more was heard about the affair. An ambitious impresario signed a contract with us to open at the Teatro Lírico, a swank hall with more than 1,000 seats. Because my actors were terrified by our enemy's reputation as a witch, I asked a friend who is an expert in popular sorcery to clean the theater. He purified the orchestra pit and balcony with vast clouds of incense. Then he sprinkled holy water in the corridors, on the chairs, and in all the corners with a brush made of fresh leaves of 7 herbs. We were all relieved, but fear returned when we learned that in that same evening, my friend had to have emergency surgery to remove an enormous boil that had appeared on his anus. I was lucky to find a very respected and talented actress for the role of Lucretia. She agreed on the condition that she never be required to dress in tight clothing. We rehearsed at least 10 hours a day and were ready with an impeccable show on opening night. As for the Tigress, things went badly for her at first because she hadn't bothered to rehearse and wandered around the stage like a blind animal, listening to a prompter whose voice was so loud it could be heard all over the theater. But then, in defiance of censorship rules, she suddenly took off every stitch of clothing, sporting only a fluffed-up mass of pubic hair dyed green. This audacity brought her resounding success. Avid voyeurs flocked to the theater every night. My Lucretia Borgia ran for 4 months. Hers ran for 2 years. When our run was over, I sent a telegram to the Tigress congratulating her on her success. She replied with another telegram inviting me to have a cup of coffee and a pastry with her at the frou-frou. The actors of both companies were bewildered by this, for they saw us as mortal enemies. For the occasion, I wore a white suit. The Tigress was a bit late. An hour and 40 minutes to be exact. She also appeared dressed entirely in white. We both burst out laughing, sensing that something miraculous was concealed in this apparent coincidence. We drank our coffee calmly and shared a tarte et pomme. Public life was one thing, private life another. Now that the battle was over, we could communicate as simple human beings. A current of sympathy united us, like 2 old enemy soldiers reminiscing about the war. "That was one glorious scandal," she said. "Thanks to the war with you, I made a fortune. Please allow me to offer you a little gift." I knew I could not refuse, and I allowed her to put on my left ring finger a gold ring ornamented with a skull.